Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Wednesday here on Chrono Speakeasy. I'm Paul, joined with Angela.
Hello.
Will.
Howdy doodly.
Rob.
Guten Tag.
And Jay.
Hi.
Happy New Year. This is
Happy
the first
New
podcast.
Year.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Podcast of 2016, motherfucker.
I technically uploaded that one you guys did last week on the 1st, but this is the first one we're recording in 2016.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever, Rob.
I wasn't even on the last one, so whatever.
It was just the three amigos.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
Well, it
Fuck all y'all.
so how was everyone's New Year's?
It was pretty good. Interesting stuff. Accidentally met Andrew W.K.
That's
Ooh.
a cool
How do you
accident.
pull that off accidentally?
I went to a party after the show, and on my way back, like some random dude stopped us for directions, and we're walking past the venue, and we see like the guitarist and drummer packing stuff up in a car, and I'm just like, "Well, hey, that's definitely the guitarist." He goes, "Do you think we're gonna like Andrew WK is gonna come out? Let's find out." So a few seconds later, he like just walks out in a black hoodie and sunglasses, and I met Andrew WK. He's like the coolest guy ever. So is this guitarist.
Wait, sunglasses at night?
Yeah, it's like a celebrity thing, so that people don't recognize him and stop him, sort of thing.
I
Probably.
think sunglasses at night is the quickest way. I'm going to pay attention to you.
It's like, who's this guy? He's probably
Sunglasses
famous.
at night.
Or it's the quickest way for a bunch of people to start singing that song.
Yeah. I was just thinking that in my head.
Yep.
That's
Anytime you
cool.
see someone wearing sunglasses, start singing that.
It's always cool to meet a celebrity that's cool because, man, it just suck. It would just like suck if like, you know, especially if you're like a fan. Like when I met Dave Grohl, I was like, man, this guy's a dick. He's gonna kill Nirvana and Foo Fighters for me.
See, I don't like celebrity stories, like unless it ends with like, I don't know, you guys doing like taking like belly button shots or whatever off of each other. And then like, that's like, to me, it's like, that's an amazing story, you know? Like I like things that have just a weird ass like ending to them.
Well,
Well, it
you
was
let me
3:30
finish
in
my
the
Dave
morning.
Grohl story. I mean, Jello shots were involved, and hugs, believe it or not.
So, Angela, how do you feel about the urban legend that is Bill Murray at this point?
I like those stories because I could totally see him just like showing up at like somebody's party, because he did that for a while. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna crash like parties, and I think that's pretty cool. But like, I want to hear the crazy shit that like ensued. You know?
Well, I know right now he's planning, or I've heard rumors of him and the Wu-Tang Clan planning on stealing back the album.
I hope that they steal it back from that guy. He's
Yeah.
a dick.
Wait,
But-
stealing what album? What happened?
So you know how...
Okay,
go ahead, Jay.
you know that like shitty dude that,
Martin Shkreli.
yeah, Martin Shkreli, the guy that upped the price of the anti-HIV
Yeah.
pill like 300%.
Yeah, that guy's fucking weird. Yeah.
He bought the only copy of a Wu-Tang album that was made like 15 years ago that was kept in a vault for $10 million. And there's a special clause within the contract that says that he can't take like legal action against Wu-Tang Clan if they and Bill Murray steal the album back in a cat burglar heist like concept.
Oh my God, I hope they do it.
Yeah.
I think Martin Shkreli's in jail now, so they could probably just walk to his apartment and steal it now.
I think
it's
he
not gonna be
bought
that
his way
hard.
out.
He's
Yeah,
out
he bought
on
his way
bail,
out.
but
Yeah. He's going to go back in.
As long as they walk to the house dressed as burglars, you know.
I imagine Bill Murray is just like in a Hawaiian shirt. Just like, am I really doing this?
But see, the way I see it is that this is where Martin Shkreli becomes the first true supervillain. Like, he becomes legitimately Lex Luthor because he already did the whole AIDS medicine thing where he raised it from like $13 to $700 a pill or something crazy.
Yeah.
And then he bought the Wu-Tang album and he's like, I'm not even going to listen to it and I'm not even going to let anybody listen to it. So that's 2. And then 3, I think Bill Murray's going to try to steal it back and he's going to shoot Bill Murray, thus killing the greatest human this country's produced. putting him
shut your
to
mouth.
super villain.
Yeah, that's like
Okay,
stop talking,
not
man.
gonna
I'm just saying
do that.
super villains.
Messed up.
He's not
This
gonna
is the
shoot
origin
them.
story.
Messed up.
But not only did he like raise it from $13 to $700, he's quoted to say, "Yeah, how much is your life actually worth to you?"
Damn.
He was an Uber troll on Twitter.
I believe that.
He was like, so working in marketing, I get retargeted by Mashable a lot. And like every 2 days, they'd be writing something about how much of a dick he was on Twitter. He'd like go tease that he's going to like live stream on Twitch and maybe he'll play the Wu-Tang album, but then he like never does. And he would just do that all the time.
He had like the douchiest post to say that he got the album too. Just like, oh, if there's some ominous missing space in your discography from the 2004 era, then you know who has that album.
I love that laugh. Yeah, he's just shaving his head away from being Lex Luthor.
Yeah, he's like this world's less. So we have like Elon Musk, who's like our Tony Stark, and then we have him, who's like the opposite scale, and he's.
Can we call him
our
Lex Luthor?
Oh, he's totally Lex Luthor. Yeah. He's not gonna make a robot suit in like cool
Les
Krypton
Luthor.
stuff.
I love that. Les Luthor.
But what about Trump?
Nah,
Trump
Trump's just
is
a clown.
yeah, he's
He's just
a-
the end of man.
he's like the Penguin.
I like
yeah.
that.
Like he's not gonna leave where he is.
He looks
He
like the
doesn't have-
Scarecrow though.
I guess.
He's what, like Scarecrow?
He looks like him though.
Like with the mask?
I don't know. He's got like leathery ass skin and fucking orange ass head.
I feel like he's
I
more of a
believe-
he's more of a clay face with a wig.
I like that. Yeah. No, but I think Trump is definitely a villain though. But speaking of villains, though, I heard Andy Serkis did an interview in regards to his Supreme Leader Snoke performance, and he says, according to him, that it is not Darth Plagueis. Now, is Serkis just? You think he's just trolling us and trying to pull the wool over our eyes, or I don't know? What do you guys think? Either A, it is Plagueis, or B, they don't know. They just wrote the character and they're like, oh, we'll figure it out in episode 8.
I think
So-
he'll just be another cool character. I know a lot of people have had the theory that it's Plagueis, but in the lore, like, didn't they like basically say he got killed in his sleep?
So yeah, they said Palpatine killed him.
Yeah.
If I don't think that Disney would have let him answer if they were going to use it.
Right.
Yeah.
And if he did, he really fucked up, because I feel like it's one of those issues, and the way that Disney is handling Star Wars is they would rather not lend an answer to anything than anything that's related to what they're doing, and
Sure.
as opposed to saying something.
I think that's
Well,
also part of J.J. Abrams kind of setting up the vibe for it because he's already super secretive.
Right.
So he's probably just like, all right, for now on, everything is super secret.
That makes sense. Well, because Angela and I saw The Force Awakens again in IMAX, and the volume was incredibly loud.
Yeah, it made us feel very old.
Yeah.
Like, it's so loud.
So in between wiping blood out of my ears, I was able to hear some things very clearly. And that first scene with Darth Plagueis, that John Williams score kicks in. They're like, whoa, which is the same music from Revenge of the Sith when he tells the Darth Plagueis story. So it's like, I know it's not enough, but it's like, oh man, like that's like, it pretty much is like the exact same score. And like, the more I thought about it, I was like, oh man, it would be cool if it was Darth Plagueis just like coming back, like reconstructing himself using his Jedi powers. Like, I don't know. I like the theory. I think it's pretty cool.
I just hope it's a cool character, whatever they go with.
Right.
Because I think Snoke was kind of a weak point in Force Awakens because he was just there, kind of.
Yeah.
But I hope they build on him and we get some cool dark side stuff going on.
I want to learn more about the dark side. Not me personally, like in my life, but just in the story.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
me too. I love the duality of like the light and dark. It's just cool, but I don't know. Dark side shit's badass, so I just want to see more of it.
Will?
I want to know more about the Knights of Ren, because they every like promotional material I saw said it was like Kylo Ren was bringing this whole order back to, he was resurging it and bringing it back from non-existence. So I'm like, okay, so I've never heard of them before. I would like to know more, please. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I do. I mean, I want to learn more about everybody, like about Finn, especially about Ray. I'm definitely
Especially Ray.
I'm more. I think the more I think about it, the more I really dig the possibility of Rey being a Kenobi. I don't know how she'd be a Kenobi, but I kind of like that narrative symmetry of like a Kenobi giving a Skywalker his father's lightsaber. Like that's just cool, I think.
And so I really like the theory, but the one thing that I've thought about that lends me to discredit it a little bit is that don't we hear Yoda's voice in the flashback too?
Yeah, we do.
It's like Ewan McGregor, Alec Guinness, Yoda, and I think there's a little Anakin in there. And so, as far as we know, those are the only people that have ever come back as Jedi ghosts. Mm-hmm. So it's just that I think that's just that they're so force powerful, even in their afterlife, that they're still resonating with that device. And everyone's just trying to point out the Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor factor, but forgetting about Yoda and Darth Vader.
I just like when someone said that she's also the only one who has that type of English accent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I never thought about that.
Though if John Boyega is to be believed, he was on some late night talk show lately, and he said that he tried his lines once or twice in his British accent, but because he has the accent that he does, they said like no, and they had him swap to an American accent.
I think the American accent worked.
Yeah.
Especially him screaming. Did you see that? Like an American accent was like awesome. But no, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're gonna be talking about this movie for a while. But
I hope
yeah,
that Marvel starts doing some cool, like how they've been doing the backstory comics. I hope they just released this week the Anakin in Obi-Wan. It kind of takes place in the like in between episode 3 or wait,
episode 2,
episode 1 and 2. Basically,
okay.
that his like Anakin's tween years.
God.
But I hope they keep doing stuff like that. And then even though like Knights of the Old Republic and all that stuff is no longer canon or anything, I kind of hope they do a comic book or something down the lines of that, where they can just kind of build up the history of the world without having to make movies about it. They've been really good.
There was a comic I liked I read years ago where like it was just like Anakin in the caves, like just like chiseling out crystals for his lightsaber, and I was like, I want to see shit like that in the movies. You know, where like
the deep mythology, like super nerdy, like
hell yeah,
like the Force in its rawest form. Like I love that shit.
Yeah,
just
like I mean,
have them like working on their lightsaber or something like that, and show the crystal and shit. Like show how it works.
Yeah, they've never showed that. They just said it at some point, right?
Yeah,
kinda.
Yeah.
I think if anything, we're more likely to get that soon because like we have Rogue Squadron coming out this December.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
Rogue One, sorry. Which is going to be, I never really knew I wanted to know the story about the rebels who stole the Death Star plans, but now I kind of want to know about the rebels who stole the Death Star plans.
It sounds super fun.
I hope it's like Ocean's 11 in space.
Mm-hmm.
And so we might get a Boba Fett movie and then a Han Solo movie, and then maybe 10, 12 years down the line, we'll end up with some sort of like Knights of the Old Republic story. Because I do like how they're saying Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and they're like creating this subgenre of
right. It's like anthology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of like this is a universe within the same universe film.
It's crazy. We're gonna get a Star Wars movie every year for the rest of our lives.
I know.
I'm okay with that.
Fucked up
Yes.
in a good way, but that's fucked up.
So good.
Because Disney is gonna churn the money out of that shit.
But just think about it. I've said it before, but we're like in the best time as like nerdy movie likers because we have like the Marvel movies. We get like 2 Marvel movies a year that are awesome, and now we have a Star Wars movie every year that if they're on the same level of Force Awakens or better, also awesome. I'm pumped.
And then usually a Fox movie a year, and then
you get like 3
DC
Fox movies,
a
and
year.
one of which is really good.
Yeah.
Speaking of Marvel, though, I'm super excited that James Gunn was like, I saw Civil War, and it's amazing.
He said it's like the best movie that Marvel's ever done, right?
Mm-hmm. So I rewatched Winter Soldier like 4 or 5 days ago, And I'm pretty sure after watching it a second time, that's my favorite Marvel movie as of now.
Yeah, I agree.
Which one?
Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah,
It
definitely.
is so fucking good. And
It's so tight.
It's so
It
tight.
is.
It's so smart for a superhero movie, and just everything is so good. So I'm stoked the Russo brothers are kind of like taking the helm for like Marvel stuff now. And if Civil War is like the same tone, like it's serious, but it's still Marvel, and I'm just pumped. Everything about that movie was so good.
Yeah, I mean, just everything I'm hearing about the movie thus far, and again, like you said, Rob, just based on Winter Soldier. Like, I mean, when I first heard they're doing Winter Soldier, it's like, well, they got to do Civil War. Like, I mean, you can't not do Winter Soldier without Civil War. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's like a 2-part story, I think, and yeah, I'm just super excited. And what Chris Evans had to say too about in regards to Civil War. I mean, I really appreciate like the character growth that they're adding for not just Cap but Tony as well. Like he had said that how you have Captain America, a soldier who's always kind of marched to the beat of a drum, going against that, and now having Tony Stark, who was kind of marching to his own beat, now supporting the established order. It's just like it's a really cool flip, and just I'm just excited to kind of hear those conversations between Tony and Cap leading up to.
There's actually I was in the comic store earlier today and I saw it was like issue 2 of like the prequel to Civil War. So they're doing like a small prequel comic thing leading up to Civil War. So I'm going to check that out just to see what kind of backstory it adds. I flipped through it and it looks like there was some it was mostly a Tony Stark thing, but I'm sure. I'm interested to see what he's up to post Avengers 2 when he just kind of went off in his whatever Audi.
But the character arc makes so much sense. You look at who Tony Stark was in Iron Man and Iron Man 2. Then what happens to the Avengers? Iron Man 3, he's having a hard time bouncing back to that with that PSD. Then he creates Ultron. That blows up in his face. So it totally makes sense that Tony's like, okay, you know what? Between the alien invasion and the robot uprising, maybe we need a little more accountability. I think someone was saying that on Facebook that that it kind of feels like it's happening too soon, that like they're skipping some steps. But I think this is perfect in the timeline for the Marvel movies.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And
I mean, I'd like it if they added more characters, but outside of that,
I think they're rolling them out at a pretty good pace.
Yeah,
especially in Phase 2. Phase 2, I think,
had a lot more going on.
Yeah, it added like bigger groups of people in the movies.
We're getting like more original character movies in Phase 3 than we have since Phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Also, just Phase 2 in general, I think the overall quality of the movies like jumped up. Whereas like Phase 1, we had Iron Man 1, which is amazing, like launched everything. But then we had like Hulk, which is fine. Iron Man 2, which is fine. First Avenger, I love, so that's pretty great. But Phase 2, I mean, we have
Thor 1.
Everything is really good. Thor 2 is but everything else is great.
Thor 1 was okay.
Thor 2 wasn't great.
Thor 2 was better than Thor 1.
I think they're both about the same level in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, see, my thing with Marvel is even the movies I don't think are the strongest, I still think are fun as hell. Like, I had a lot of fun with the Thor movies. Like,
no, me too.
Like, I mean, they're not Winter Soldier level, but damn, like, because Andrew and I watched Dark World this week, actually, and I mean, it was fun. I think for me, Thor was exactly what I needed it to be. Like, just like it doesn't have to question my role in society or whatever. Like, it's just they're in space.
I think
Thor's flying this ship.
Phase 3, I'm actually the most excited right now for Thor 3.
Oh, with the Hulk.
Yeah, just knowing the Hulk is in it and it's Ragnarok, so it's gonna be epic as hell. I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully the third one is the best one because, like you said, the Thor movies are weaker than the other movies. Like, not to say that they're bad, but yeah.
So I think that Thor 3 is going to... The big bad is going to be Thanos. He's going to be coming for the Aether, the space gem. and there's probably going to be some minor villain or even 2 or 3 minor villains kind of distracting everyone in the meantime. But I think Thanos is going to show up and wreck everyone.
I hope so.
Like Enchantress or something?
So I think Enchantress and Loki are going to be up to something.
Yeah.
I don't know about too much about Enchantress with all the stuff they've been saying about how hard it is for the Marvel TV and movie studios to work together. I think they dropped the Enchantress in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which must mean that they didn't have plans for her in...
she wasn't technically the Enchantress, was she?
She was Lorelei, which I think is the same character.
I mean, she was making people do what she wanted. It's pretty similar. I mean, she is enchanting them, so it's very, very similar.
I actually hope Thanos is more heavily involved in most of the Phase 3 movies, just because
he has to be.
He has to be. They need to build him up so when he is the big bad for 2 Avengers movies, people actually like understand the character. They understand like what he's after. Just basically, just kind of like how we had with Loki in the first Avengers movie. There was only like 2 movies really to like build him up, but I think it was just enough.
I think they're going to drop Thanos in Doctor Strange. I think he's going to be a very sudden presence, so he's probably not unless he shows up like right at the very end of Civil War. I feel like waiting to introduce him as the big bad until like the 3rd movie of Phase 3, even though there's like 12 of them. I mean, if we're thinking about it as like episodes of a TV show that we have to wait really, really long amount of time for, like, and you only have 12, waiting till episode 3 is too long to introduce the big bad in some way.
Well, the like main bad in Doctor Strange is Mephisto, right?
So it's Baron Mordo for...
Or no, it's Dormammu. That's the...
Right, Dormammu is generally the
so it could have some connection to him.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
I think Doctor Strange is kind of be in his own little world until the end of the movie, personally. I think it's going to be kind of like Captain America 1, or just all the origin stories where it's kind of his origin, him kind of in the world, and at the end he like bumps into someone. They're like, "Hey, what's up? You want to be an Avenger?"
I got a strong feeling that his Eye of Agamotto might be tied to an Infinity Gem, or that's my feeling on that. But I think Phase 3 is looking great, and I'm really excited with all this concept art that's been revealed for Civil War. Like I saw one where it's Hawkeye pulling back his arrow, and there's Ant-Man on the tip.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, I don't know, I'm very excited for the presence of Ant-Man, and possible spoiler, through some of the products like with Funko and Lego. So I guess block your ears if you don't want to hear this, but maybe, and it's looking like this might be a possibility, Ant-Man might be turning into a giant man.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I love that Ant-Man's in it just because we know there's going to be some humor to the movie.
Yes.
That trailer was very intense, and I loved it. But there always needs to be some humor, and I can't imagine Paul Rudd being straight serious the whole movie.
No, there's like...
I mean, him and Spider-Man,
even just the visual aspect of Ant-Man is funny.
Right.
So...
when we watched the bonus disc on the Phase 2 box set, there's actually a great clip between Captain America and Ant-Man during Civil War, and it's just like Paul Rudd like just being like a nerd fanboy around Cap. It's like, oh my god, he's Captain America. This is awesome. It's like it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
I hope that we get serious Tony throughout the entire movie, because I would love to just see Tony Stark be serious for an entire movie.
I think he'll be seriously sarcastic. Like he's like, I sometimes want to punch you in your perfect teeth. Like it's such a intense line, but it's a little funny.
I think you'll be snarky.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have Tony Stark full on, like without the sarcasm, because he's built his character up as like 90% sarcasm.
I just don't want him to be the main humor source for the movie if we're gonna have like Paul Rudd and Spider-Man.
I don't think he's going to be. And from the trailer, he seemed to be having a more like...
Shit, Black Panther's probably going to even have jokes.
Maybe one or two. He's not known for his.
I'm saying one or two
quips.
I just feel like if everyone's jokey, then we end up in the same situation as Age of Ultron, where it just all feels too lighthearted and there's never any real suspense.
Right.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Maybe Tony will be the funny guy for his side, and Ant-Man will be the funny guy for Cap's side. So each team has a funny guy, and that'll be it. Draw the line there.
And then Spider-Man shows up for like 3 seconds.
I hope, I'm gonna be. I kind of have a bad feeling that like this Spider-Man role is gonna be small. Like, I just imagine like
he's the Luke Skywalker of this movie.
Yeah, like
at the end, Tony Stark walks up to a cliff and he just turns around and he's wearing a cloak.
But I just imagine like the dust settling and the war's over, and he's just like, oh, hey, like, and then like,
what are this, guys?
He's at the post-credit scene. Oh, I missed the war. Hey, what's this gem doing on the ground? Huh, infinity. Like,
yeah, I really think Tony will be more serious in this movie.
Yeah, you just get that vibe from I think the Captain America movies are kind of taking that approach. They're like the more serious, like thriller of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I've been really impressed just by how strong the Captain America movies have been. Like, because you guys know I was a Captain America. I'm gonna sound like a hipster. Well, I was a Cap fan before it was cool, but I fucking was. And like, I was so nervous for the movies because I said, a dude dressed, in an American flag. Mm-hmm. It's like that could go either way, and they're so strong. It's like I have like every bit of confidence for Civil War, and the fact that like you've got like all like the cast of other movies coming together with the absence of Hulk and Thor. It's gonna be great. But it was interesting though hearing the interview that Joss Whedon gave this week about him making his like kind of clear break from Marvel. Whenever you hear clean break, it sounds like a breakup. Like, oh man, I just had to get out, when I could, and I kind of feel bad for Joss Whedon.
Yeah,
just like Marvel was getting too clingy, started just telling me what to do all the time, and
I mean, pretty much.
I just knew I had to get out of that relationship, like before things got too serious.
Well, so the problem was that he loved it and he was so willing to do it, but he didn't want to be that guy forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it took a lot out of him, and I think the backlash from the fans didn't help much either. I mean, that can do a lot to you mentally, I mean, celebrities love to say that they don't really pay attention to like what the critics are saying, but they do.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you spend years of your life working on something, and then just people just give you shit over the dumbest stuff, especially when it's like something that necessarily wasn't his fault or something. Like they just had to cut it out for whatever reason, and just whatever. Give the guy a break. All right, come on, give Joss Whedon a break.
and the more that I watch Age of Ultron, the thought that I keep having, because people were so outraged by the Black Widow's kind of reveal that she couldn't have kids and that was her big secret. But at the same time, I'm wondering, like, why isn't that a perfectly valid thing for her to be broken up about? You see how good she is with Hawkeye's kids. And
I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you exactly why.
Okay.
Because it somehow states that as a woman, like your ability to not have kids like really matters in a negative way. Like it's like, I mean, and it was the fact that her big reveal was like, I can't have kids, ... You're not the only monster in this room. It's like, I mean, I think you killing tons of people could make you a monster, but not having a uterus, not really up there with monstrous choices. Because if that's the case, then any woman like who had a hysterectomy is like a monster, or any woman who goes through menopause is a monster. It's like I feel. And I don't want to be one of those like social justice warriors. It's like I'm triggered. No, but it's just it just.
But so I agree with you that it's not it's not that I agree with you that saying that a woman who can't have babies is a monster. but I don't think that it makes her any less of a real character to be someone who really wants kids.
No, that's again, it comes with like delivery, because that's one thing, but that wasn't the context in which it was delivered, because there are plenty of women who can't have kids who really want them, and they adopt, or they do the implanting and all that stuff. But like, at the end of the day, in that context, it was like, therefore I am a monster.
So I don't disagree that we shouldn't make women feel like monsters because of that. However, I don't think that it's not a real reaction that some women feel that way when they can't. And they need to be. And so the real problem in my mind was that they didn't then follow through to tell her that she wasn't a monster for it. But I don't think that her having that experience and trauma is as bad as everyone made it out to be, I guess. I don't know.
So here's my 2 cents. I just want a disclaimer. I'm a dumb white man.
I am too, but I it feels real in a way. I don't think that it was the best way for it to be done, but I believe that it's a real emotion that some women have. Sure, and
I'm not gonna argue with you on that front. How I interpreted that scene when she's talking about like I can't have babies, it just sort of felt like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like we've told this story before, like I can't have babies, and especially in science fiction that there's like I'm a woman, I'm a scientist, but I can't have babies. Like you look at Prometheus, she can't have babies, and all of a sudden, oh, it's a miracle, she can have babies. Like it happens a lot. So I think it's sort of like we've been down that path. And for someone like Joss Whedon, who's built a career on writing really strong female characters, they were looking for, I think, another story for her, something we hadn't heard before. At least that's how I interpret it. Because when I heard it, when she was like, I can't have babies, it's like really, man, that was your ace in the hole for Black Widow. Like we've been here.
Yeah, it's in it. I mean, it does kind of, there's a lot of social pressure on women. I think once you get out of high school, it's like you can have the 5-star career, but really it's like, are you married? Do you have babies? Then you haven't really fulfilled the true meaning of being a woman. And it's something that a lot of modern women today really have to fight against. I mean, because we get this pressure from our families, we get it from society, we get it from old Facebook friends from high school who are like, look, I got kid number 10. Woo, I'm so blessed. And it's just like, yeah. And if you don't want kids, there's something somehow wrong with you, or you're selfish. And so I think that in the modern context in which that line was delivered, also within the context that it was delivered in the movie, it just hit all the wrong notes. And that's just for me. But I'm also saying that wasn't the part of the movie that really made me upset. Like, there was a lot of things about that movie that I didn't like. And I think upset's a really strong word. There were a lot of parts of that movie where I really fell flat. And I think it had more to do with the writing, and because of like how the first Avengers movie was so perfect and it flowed so well and you were right there with them. And this one, I felt like there were spontaneous things happening that it wasn't believable. And I know it's like an Avengers movie, whatever, but I don't know. There's so much more going on in that film that the Black Widow thing was kind of just like kind of lower on the rail of shit that just didn't fly. That being said, I do feel bad for Joss Whedon because of all the backlash that he did get, because he put a lot of his heart into that, and it's a lot easier to be a critic than it is to be a creator. And yeah.
Rob, you have something to say?
Forget. It was a while back.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Soapbox.
Yeah.
Women's rights. No babies.
but I think pretty soon, or like people are already like, we're all like that. Like everybody's gonna look back and just appreciate what Joss Whedon was able to do for Phase. Like he was basically the leader of Phase 2,
Yep.
Which
Well,
is like what ascended the Marvel movies from like
he's the
fun
reason why
movies.
He's the reason why we have Thanos. I mean, I mean, that's all. I mean, we have so much to thank for him. I just think it sucks that I think when they realized the fucking the gem that Joss Whedon is, they just fucking sucked it dry. I mean, like when you hear about like that he was reviewing scripts for Iron Man and he was rewriting parts of Thor: The Dark World and looking at Cap and Guardians and Ant-Man, and to do all of that and have to write and direct and produce your own movie, like I'm actually in that lens. Age of Ultron is kind of a miracle that it even exists in a relatively solid format. Yeah, because I don't think I could have done that. I mean,
well, not to just diminish it, which I'm totally gonna fucking do right now, but Joss Whedon's kind of known for like wearing himself thin on having like a million projects at once. So I mean, it seems fitting that he would have his hand in everything because he's always had his hand in everything. But you know, it still sucks though because Marvel definitely lost a solid gem.
They are losing a big part of what they were, but with the Russo brothers kind of jumping in as like the leaders for the next couple big,
there's a lot of good talent. Like
there's a lot of good talent
after him,
and also having a brother team to direct all these movies. Like just being able to split the work between two brains must be like light years easier than just trying to handle it all yourself.
Yeah,
I think that's true.
Stress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really interesting that he was saying too about how Marvel isn't as connected as we all would like to think it is between television and the movies and like Netflix and I think he had said too that like TV kind of gets the scraps, like, which is like kind of stinks. Like he had said how like at one point Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like Loki's scepter was gonna play a major role in that show, and Marvel's like, no, we want to hold on to this because whatever. Well,
and then in Daredevil, they wanted to use Night Nurse but they couldn't because the movie side said that they had future plans for her, so they couldn't do that. And that just makes me sad because there's so many like little minor villains on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that they could use in the movies to like build stuff out, and then some other characters that they could just throw in and say, if you want to learn more, go look at this. But they just don't want to do that, I guess.
Sorry.
I think with the quality of like the Netflix shows in particular, and I haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but you guys love it, so that must be quality too. I feel like at some point they have to like overlap. These two things, because eventually they're going to both grow to such a size. Like, how are we supposed to believe they exist in the same world if the only reference you ever hear is the New York Day or the whatever they call it? And
you know what I keep having a hard time buying too is how, like, you know, Phil Coulson, he's such a major player in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It just strikes me as kind of hard to believe that, like, nobody else fucking knows he's alive. But yeah, the show's like, oh, hey, I'm Phil Coulson. Don't tell Cap I'm alive. Like, it's just like, or Tony Stark. Like, I feel like
they'd find out.
I mean,
Jarvis must know.
I just feel like, I mean, are they saving that moment? Because I feel like that moment has to come because again, you know, Phil Coulson was a big part of phase one. You know, he was kind of the connective tissue. So I feel like, you know, and for his death to have such meaning, and I feel like,
well, if they're smart, that moment won't come.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that death has to still have meaning to them, you know. But if you take that away, then it kind of null and voids the first film.
I don't think it will null and void the first film. I mean, Coulson's back already, and that was my concern that this, just by bringing him back in a TV series was going to make Avengers null and void. But it might make it. You might have some, you know, emotional narrative to have. I don't know, Thor find out about Coulson or Stark. I mean, you're going to have a lot of drama there that could potentially work. I'm just saying, as a viewer, my perspective, it just seems like it would just be. It's like Ross and Rachel not getting back together. It's like, come on, like, you know, they're gonna come back together. Jay,
do you think that they might reference him in Civil War?
Ross and Rachel, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, totally Ross and Rachel. I don't know who those people are.
Yeah, it's okay.
I've been watching too much Friends lately.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, Ross and Rachel were the main couple on Friends.
Okay.
So they're, from what I can tell, they're gonna have to break the fourth wall of death and comic book death sometime soon because they're burning through villains like it's nobody's business. And eventually, people are gonna get tired of the throwaway villains. They're gonna have to bring someone else back, and they're gonna have to break it anyways. It's just comic books.
I want a petition to bring back Blonsky.
And Red Skull.
That, like, they need to just stop killing villains off. Like, if they had the Wrecking Crew in, like, Spider-Man or something like that as a henchman for Kingpin, that would be awesome. Just, like, have them beat him up, throw him in jail. Done and
they
done.
do have the Damage Control show coming out.
I do love
keep forgetting about that.
The one thing about Spider-Man's villains is that they're always so small, like, in the scheme of things, that, like, and Spider-Man's not going to kill anybody. It's like Batman with the Arkham villains. He's just going to beat them up. They're going to go to jail and they're going to break out again.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's going to be great.
God damn it, Rhino out again.
I want a better Rhino. I want a better cinematic Rhino than Paul Giamatti looking like a robot. Like,
I want the old General Zod back.
Wow.
There's a lot I want.
I want a Kraven's Last Hunt movie.
Ooh, that could be kind of cool.
I want a big dude
awesome.
in a friggin' cheetah vest in the streets being like, I'm going to hunt Spider-Man. And they'll be like, sure.
I know his scent.
I would love a Mysterio Spider-Man movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be so creepy if it was done right. If they got like a horror director to do it.
Seriously. And
someone like Sam Raimi.
As long as Mysterio doesn't have like a fishbowl. Or actually, even if they do a fishbowl, as long as it looks cool.
You can
They
make
could do a
fishbowl
cool
creepy.
fishbowl.
Think Spider-Man, of like Spider-Man has so many good villains though. Like
he really does.
All animal based for the most part.
Yeah, and it's super funny. Like a vulture. Imagine a vulture.
Well, Spider-Man 3 at one point was going to have the vulture, and then at one point Vulture was going to be in a draft of the Spider-Man 4 script, and apparently Ben Kingsley was in negotiations to be the vulture.
Oh my God,
I can see that.
He would have been a great vulture. I mean, I loved him as, the Mandarin, but, Vulture would have been kind of cool. But no, I think
I want more of that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get more Mandarin at some point.
I want more Trevor. I vote more Trevor. I'm Team Trevor.
Well, that Marvel one-shot, kind of confirmed that, there is another Mandarin out there, which I feel like the more I think about it, I understand why Marvel didn't want to do 1960s Mandarin, but I think you could do a cool Asian Mandarin without it being like, ha ha ha, like racist. Like, I think there's a way that they could do it without upsetting people.
I want the racism. That's what made him great.
I just want to see Fing Fang Foom in a movie.
Yeah.
That'd be
He was
sweet.
on a billboard in Iron Man 1, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, also, too, Guy Pearce, when he has a shirt off, he totally has Fing Fang Foom tattoos. It's totally Fing Fang Foom.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, he just doesn't have those tattoos.
What?
He could just casually have those tattoos on his own. They're like, should I put makeup over these? I'm kind of a nerd. And they'd be like, no, that actually works.
That would be kind of cool.
That would actually be really cool. That's not true. It's wrong.
So Joss Whedon, wherever you are, we thank you for all you've done for us at Marvel, and you'll be missed.
Thank you, Joss Whedon.
Thanks, Joss. I'm going to call you Jossie from now on.
Jossie.
Thanks,
Don't
Jossie.
fuck it up, Russo brothers.
Well, hopefully, maybe now he actually can get a show off the ground for more than a season.
Just bring Firefly back.
Yeah, that's too heartbreaking for him. He's talked about that.
The thing is, with the world that we live in with Netflix, I would not be surprised if Netflix was like, "Yo, what's up, Joss? You got some free time? You want to
Netflix?
come over here?"
Yo, Jossie, come our way.
Because Firefly's been on Netflix, so Netflix has all that weird Netflix data, and they're like, the nerds love this shit, and the nerds buy our shit.
The problem
Let's
is that
make it.
I want a Firefly show that disregards Serenity. Like I still want. I don't want to be in a post Serenity Firefly.
I love Serenity.
I love it, but I don't want more Firefly that takes place after Serenity.
Well, that's too fucking bad.
Because they killed off everyone in Serenity.
He didn't kill off everyone. He just killed off a couple people.
All my favorites.
Whatever.
I never saw Firefly, but I saw Serenity. So I'm one
as
of
long
those
as
weird
Jane's
people.
still standing, I'm good to go.
Rob, how did you see Serenity first?
I didn't know it was connected. I just rented this movie once, and I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to know something.
I haven't seen any of it.
Oh, Jay.
It's one of these days I'll rip through Firefly.
So
There's
it's
just too much stuff to watch.
It's a 13 episode season and a movie. You can knock it out in a month.
A month?
Yeah.
If you're slow. I was being generous.
How long is each episode? A half hour? An hour?
It's
like 45 minutes.
44 minutes.
I'll get it done in like a week. It's a slow week for anime.
Well, then do it.
Maybe I will.
Stop
I just
talking
watched all
about
of
it.
season
Do it,
6 of
man.
Archer.
Archer is great.
Yeah, just watched all of season 6 yesterday.
Wait, where can you find season 6 online?
We'll talk.
Oh, okay. One of those places. Yeah, I gotcha. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Did you just fart?
No, I kicked the tape.
Well, no, because I thought I heard a fart sound and your camera shaking. I was like, holy shit.
That was
Will,
sent.
you're magical.
Will's got his hood up like I did a force push. Speaking of Star Wars and assholes,
Oh my god, this works perfectly.
can we briefly just to talk about those Star Wars sex toys that were on IO9 today?
They weren't even really sex toys. They were just like whips and flogs and
But they were
paddles.
green and red.
And they had
with
lightsaber handles.
Yeah. That totally means it's a Star Wars sex toy.
Well, the thing is, when people were talking about the Star Wars branding, like knowing no end, they were serious.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
you
now it
thought
knows
thought
everything.
oranges were weird. I didn't. It'd be amazing if this was first party, like put out by Disney and like Hasbro.
Oh, absolutely.
If
It
they
just has
did,
like the Rebel Alliance logo on a paddle to leave a
Okay.
mark on your butt.
like nerd sex toys are like goofy to begin with. But if
Yeah.
they did something like cool, like a glass dildo with like, I don't know, some cool like Star Wars shit on it. I don't know.
They could have just done
Thermal
a green
detonator
dildo
anal
on.
beads.
But if there was like,
Okay.
if there thermal something like, if like, yeah, then that would be cool. But like when it's just like bondage gear is the lamest thing on the planet. I know I had this rant earlier, but I need to go on record and tell you how lame bondage gear is. I don't know. There's just something like about people trying to be sensual that just makes me laugh. And like when I see bondage gear, I just like, oh God, it's so cheesy.
So you can find these products on Geek Kink, where you get they get like lightsaber whips and they get like Imperial paddles.
I need to say something here. They could have done a good job if they had a red dildo on a lightsaber that vibrated.
That would be kind of cool. Like, or if they, yeah, like, or they did like
That just
cooling
makes
anal
sense.
beads or something.
Yeah,
You know, if they
BB-8 anal
had,
beads.
or if
BB
you
beads.
had like like a BB-8 like bullet.
And it
Bullet?
chirped at you
Yeah, a
after
bullet.
you
It's
came.
for ladies, and you put it on your clitoris, and it vibrates, and it's
And it
really
would-
nice.
and it
Like
would
a,
give you
a
the-
little miniature BB-8 bullet.
I don't
would
know
be
sex
cool.
toys too well, so that makes sense.
It would give you the lighter thumbs up after you were done. And it'd be like, fuck yeah. We did it.
And it lights your cigarette. Like,
Yep.
like,
I mean,
thumbs up for
they
your
should just
cigarette.
have a sexy poster of Poe, and that would work
So they
too.
have the Poe Dameron body pillow. So
Get
for
that.
I like to keep my nerd and my sex life fairly separate.
Yeah, I'm not that kind of nerd either.
Meh.
But Poe
take what I
Dameron
can
is a
get.
sexy beast, and I might get that body pillow, but not really.
Oh man, Oscar Isaac is just the coolest dude ever. I want to be as cool as Oscar Isaac.
I don't know though. If I was
Put yourself on a
13,
pillow.
if I was 13 and they had like a sexy tuxedo mask body pillow, I totally would have bought the shit out of that. But
We're not going to look at my wall. They're looking at me right now.
So apart from the sex toys, what is everyone else doing this week?
It's been a slow week. I've been watching a lot of Key and Peele. That's been my week. Don't give me that face. I find it entertaining.
They're really hit or really miss.
That's true. It's really just that I've gotten into coloring lately, and I throw Key and Peele on in the background.
Oh,
did you get that adult coloring book?
I did get one of those adult coloring books and a little pixel coloring book.
Is it the curse word one?
I got the underwater, the ocean one. And then I got this little pixel one where I'm doing a little Ash Ketchum.
Wait, that's red.
Cute.
It is red. Sorry, you're right. It's red.
Okay.
Forgive me.
That's cool.
So yeah, so that's the thing.
Those are fun. No, Paul bought me a couple. They're pretty amazing.
There's one I want to get. It's Age of Ultron, not the movie, but the comic, which I hated the comic, but besides the point, it's the entire event as a coloring book.
They're doing a bunch of those. They're having one. I'm really excited. It comes out next month. Scotty Young, who did the Young Avengers vs. X-Men, they're releasing a coloring book of his art next month.
That's such a good fit.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
They should. That is awesome.
Is it called the Young Avengers because his name is Scotty Young?
No. They're called the Young Avengers just because they're babies.
You should see some of his other shit 'cause it's fucked up.
I'm going to say that they called it the Young Avengers because of his
What is it, Welcome to Fairyland or something that he just released? It's like a little girl just freaking like eating and killing like candy monsters.
Yep.
But Paul, so I looked at the Age of Ultron one. I almost bought it, but the problem is that it's the legit art, and it's super complex. So like to sit there and color it, you either have to I feel like it would drive me nuts because it's already looks good because it's just the line art without being shaded or anything. And I'm like,
right.
I'm not a colorist. I can't do this. Just give me little lines and I will try to stay inside them the best that I can, and I will still fuck up.
It's good practice. You can become like who is it? Jordi Belair. She like colors every single fucking comic book in the world now. Like if you open any comic book, it's like colors by Jordi Belair. You can just practice and become.
I want some Jack Kirby art to color in because I think his stuff would be great to color in because it's not as line intensive.
It's just his stuff is so clean with like the lines and stuff, but it's not overly like etched or anything, so it's like perfect for a coloring book.
Yeah, because the problem with like the Age of Ultron one is that it's already got like the shade work done in ink, and you're like, I don't know how to work with this. I'm not that good.
No, because I looked at it too, and I was like, I'm not gonna fucking color this shit in. Like, I'm not that stressed out. Like, and if I was, like, I think I get more stressed trying to like. But I will take a Civil War coloring book, though. I think that'd be kind of cool.
And I think the Scotty Young one is going to be really good because his art style goes really well with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yay. Happy 2016.
Yay.
Rob, how about you?
So I just moved into my new apartment this week, so I hadn't had time to do much until today as far as reading. But I picked up a couple books just to kind of follow up on stuff I was talking about in the past. For the All New, All Different, the only book I'm still kind of reading, or there's two. I'm reading Doctor Strange and Invincible Iron Man. Invincible Iron Man still super fun. The art is awesome, and I will continue reading it. So I think I just read issue 4 today, which is one with Mary Jane on the cover. She's basically the Luke Skywalker of this issue. She's literally on the last page of the book.
I don't know. I don't even know why they put her on the cover.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, remember Spider-Man?
If you haven't been reading the new Ultimates book, you should be reading.
I hear that is amazing, and I need.
You should be reading. It's my favorite so far.
Cool.
I also read Dark Knight 3 #2 came out. I liked this a lot more than the first issue because it basically starts telling the story, and basically it's kind of going the way I thought it would. Where at the very end they like open the glass, or they enlarge the Kryptonians that were inside the glass city of Kandor, or the bottle city of Kandor, or whatever, and basically like a small section of the Kryptonians have like taken control, and they all enlarge, and there's a bunch of dead bodies in the ground, and there's one Kryptonian who's just like, hey, guess what, I'm the leader, and then he blows the atom away and shit. So there's gonna be a lot of crazy Kryptonian fighting in this, and There's some cool twists in it, but it's more of a story than the first issue, so that's cool. And then I read the final issue of We Stand on Guard, which was Brian K. Vaughan's U.S. versus Canada book. And I think I talked about the first issue, and this is just a weird comic. Like it didn't feel like Brian K. Vaughan, because I love his shit, and there's always like some heart and like humor and stuff to it. And this one all just kind of fell flat at the end, and I was just like, I don't really get what the message was.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Canada's our hat. We shouldn't be fighting.
But I honestly, at the end, I was like, I don't even know like who was right or wrong. Like, you're supposed to be rooting for the Canadians, and at the end, the U.S. was just like, we weren't kidding, and then they blow shit up, and I'm like, I don't know what to think.
That might have been the point.
Maybe.
But I guess Brian K. Vaughan, I mean, they can't all be winners. I mean,
Paper
can't
Girls,
be that
though.
awesome all the time.
Paper Girls is the winner. If any of you guys aren't reading Paper Girls, you got to be reading Paper Girls. It's just, imagine the Goonies with fucking badass 12-year-old girls and space and time travel and shit. Good stuff.
That doesn't sound like the Goonies at all.
That does not sound like the Goonies at all.
Tonally, it's similar, because you know how there's a bunch of dumb little boys in the Goonies? This is a bunch of dumb little girls.
Yeah, I
awesome.
get it.
Yeah.
Read it. It's actually,
It's awesome.
I get what you're saying.
But yeah, that's it. I've just been playing a lot of video games.
It's our time down
Same.
here.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Jay?
Like I said, I marathoned all of Archer season 6. I'm caught up with Gravity Falls, that Disney show. Except for the very last episode, which I haven't found any links to watch that anywhere. I've been playing a lot of video games. Like Star Wars Battlefront is a lot of fun. And the new Gundam came out. Gundam Thunderbolt. It's really awesome. It starts off with some Zaku snipers that are attacking a Earth Federation ship, and the main character dude from the Earth Federation just like listens to jazz music, and it's pretty fun.
Cool. I dig it.
What about you, Paul?
For me, let's see. Well, I'm continuing to read The Hobbit, which is, it's a hell of a lot drier than I remember. I was like, I'm gonna read this in a day, and I'm like,
shit is so dry.
yeah,
I can't read those books, man. They're so bleh.
But I'm not working, so I have the time to read it. But I think, it's The Hobbit. I remember liking it when I read it when I was like younger. I don't know how I got through it, but so I'm rereading that. But I've also I've been working on this review. I'm gonna start doing this series for the Chrono site called the Unemployment Review, and it's all the things I'm reading while I'm not working and writing my review. Basically, I'm trying to find older comics that I loved when I was younger and to see if they still hold up. And I am writing a review for Guardian Devil, which I think I've reread for the third time now, just to make sure I kind of got all my thoughts in a row. So
that Kevin Smith's Daredevil.
Yeah, it was funny because I liked it when I read it when I was in high school. I think this came out like 18 years ago. And then I reread it again, and I was like,
Fuck, that was 18 years ago? Holy shit.
Yeah. So I reread that recently, and I was like, this did not hold up well. And then I reread it again to write the article, and now I'm kind of finding really strong moments of of really good narrative that I'm trying to explore. So I've been writing this thing for like weeks. So that'll probably be out tomorrow, I think. So, but otherwise, and then I'm actually reading old Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Captain America comics on my Marvel Unlimited, and they are so fun because like the writing is just, I don't want to knock Stan Lee because he's given us so much, but the writing in some of those old comics are just. Oof.
He used to write like 50 comic books a day. That dude was just like, what Wham Excelsior? You fucking write artist, you do it, whatever. Marvel, the Marvel method.
But there's this great moment though when they're in Zemo's lair and there's like a satellite that's got a laser that's gonna blow up the planet, and Agent Carter is working undercover as like Zemo's right hand woman, and her disguise is pulling her hair back in a ponytail and with reading glasses, and Cap's like, I don't know who she is. She keeps trying to save my life, but I can't figure out who she is. And meanwhile, she's like, oh boy, I hope Cap doesn't know that's me beneath my disguise. Like it's just shit like that. But and then like, Cap figures out that's not the real Zemo because his mask hangs off his face. It's not stuck to it. Everyone's like, oh, geez, how'd I miss that, Cap? Like, it's just, it's so 60s and perfect. So that's what I've been reading.
Yay.
Well,
in other news, only 2 weeks until Agent Carter season 2 premieres, and that should be pretty good.
Oh yeah, that would be really cool.
That'll be really fun.
I never saw the first one.
It's good. It's definitely, I would say it's better than season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I
Agents of
agree.
S.H.I.E.L.D. season wasn't very good.
It might be better than it might be better than season 2.
Okay.
Well, I gotta say this for Agent Carter. I like that it was a mini series. What was it, like 6 episodes?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think that really helped it along.
it
But
was a lot of fun.
Angela, what have you been reading this week?
Well, I'm reading like a book, but and that it's not very nerdy. I don't know if I should even bother talking about that. But I did watch Spoils of Babylon, which was that came out a few years back. And man, is that a hot mess. I fucking loved it. I loved it so much. Have you guys read that or watched that? Spoils of Babylon?
No.
How would you describe it, Paul?
Spoils of Babylon. It's like, I think it's like the worst of John Steinbeck. Like it's like the 6-part movie that's narrated or presented by Will Ferrell as like a fat Orson Welles. And it's like, and the movie has Tobey Maguire, Kristen Wiig, Tim Robbins, Val Kilmer, Jessica Alba. The cast is like insane, but it's like it starts off like a typical like Steinbeck novel. Like it's like Dust Bowl, then they find oil. Tobey Maguire fights the Second World War. Then he does like cocaine in like Las Vegas and or somewhere in Nevada, and like he
goes into the seedy underworld of like Chicago. It's
God.
like so ridiculous.
And like his look keeps changing. Like at one point he looks like Bob Dylan. Like it's wild. It's so funny and stupid.
It's like the
But it was enjoyable.
thing. I loved it so much. Yes, we watched a show of that. That was really good. I've been on like the Making a Murderer like Reddit forum just for like any tidbit of like news and information going on with that. If you guys have not watched this yet,
I'm 6 episodes in,
dude.
but somebody told me what happens, which is kind of a bummer. But
the
the whole thing is a fucking bummer. So
it's crazy though, right?
yeah, I've never wanted to like yell at people so much while watching a show.
It just gets crazier. And I know you're only 6 episodes in, but I'm telling you now, even with the ending spoiled for you, like it doesn't matter. It's still those shit that happens. They will reveal. You'll just be like, what? Like it's crazy. I love it. So yeah.
So while you're binging Making a Murderer and possibly Spoils of Babylon, definitely give us some love on iTunes. Give us some a 1,000,000-star review.
Mm-hmm.
And
Tell us about your day.
yeah, which is what you're thinking, your hopes for 2016. And yeah,
Favorite color.
mm-hmm. And we're on, of course, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Periwinkle.
Magenta.
Ooh, magenta. That's a good one.
What?
No one else? White?
Yellow.
Captain America.
I have a thing of colors right here.
Oh my God, it's so many colors.
Just pick it and calibrate your monitor.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
things and words and stuff. Comic books.
We got them all on chronospeakeasy.com. I don't want to talk like this. Okay, bye.
Enjoy your issues.